Hey family, I'm SNwadiei. I'm her Basil, and I'm also the Creole Griottes. I'm a storyteller, y'all. It's some of the things that my family have done, we'll just say for a long time. As far back as I can remember is when my grandmother was named Cora. I don't know who named her Cora, but whoever it was, they were a griot. Even if they didn't know why they named her that, it actually led me to the motherland, y'all. Like breadcrumbs. I love hearing the birds, y'all. If I wouldn't have told y'all I was in Texas, you might have thought that, yeah, I was in the motherland, with all this greenery behind me. And if I sit on the ground, I can make the background even look bigger, y'all. But anyways, I'm just talking to y'all about some things that's been on my mind. Some stories are a little bit too long to do without it being alive and having an interaction. But I've been watching some YouTube videos. Some of the people I know and some of the people that I don't know. But I tell you what, it's touched my heart listening. And so I know I just had to come out here and talk to y'all. How y'all doing this afternoon? At least in the U.S. and Galveston this afternoon. So no matter where you are in the world, how you're doing this afternoon, this night, and if you're watching this tomorrow, this morning, I hope y'all are doing blacktastic. And if you're not black, I hope you're doing fabulous, And even everybody, I hope you're doing fabulously. But anyway, guys, one of the stories I want to tell you about is growing up in a developing country. Yeah, growing up in a developing country. Y'all know I'm 6'8", so yeah, the country I grew up in was developing when I was a kid. So just hang on in there for just a second. Okay, guys, y'all might want to know, what country did I grow up in that was developing? Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. It was the great old USA. Yeah, the great old USA. And yes, it was developing. Because all of the comments I've been hearing lately when people travel to developing countries, it's like pretty much the same stuff that we lived through right here in the USA. So the culture shock for me when I traveled abroad, even for the first time, wasn't as bad as it seems to be for some of the folks that's going there now. So I'll tell y'all what happened, guys. So I grew up right here in Galveston, Texas. As I've said on other videos, and if this is your first time watching me, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And hit that notification button so you'll know anytime I upload. But yeah, guys, I grew up right here in Galveston, Texas. When I was here, growing up, segregation was alive and well. Yes, segregation was alive and well. The people that practice apartheid pretty much copied it from the United States. Yeah, real talk, y'all. But anyways, I remember growing up when we went downtown, my grandmother would remind me, have that little talk with me. When we go in the store, and it was like a Woolworths or so, a Woolworth type place, whether it was named Cressy's or whatever it was called, because now it no longer exists. But they had like a little dining area, and you could not order anything at that dining area. You couldn't even get it to go because it was not for us. And my grandmother would say, we will eat when we get home. Do not even think about going to that counter and ordering no food because it was segregation, y'all. So I didn't understand it as a little girl, but I knew that what my grandmother said went, and that was that. So I didn't ask no questions about that. And then when I went to the movies, we had the Booker T Theater. It was the color theater, and we got to see different genres of movies. We even had some movies that actually had black people in it, y'all. Yeah, I mean, black and white movies that had people in it that looked like us. Yeah. They also had cowboy and Indian movies. They had toys and movies. Well, one guy, just because he didn't look like everybody else, could talk to all the animals and yell and scare everybody and all that, swing through the trees and all of that. But anyway, we could go into the movie theater because it was for us. Booker T Theater. It no longer exists, y'all. We used to go to the Downbeat and some other honky-tonks on West Beach, because West Beach was for us, the colored beach. And it looked like Little Africa when we were there. Everybody on West Beach was black, or colored as we was called back then. And when my mother was younger, 28th Beach and 29th Beach was their thing, that was their beach. And East Beach was for the whites, and nobody even thought about going in that era. They just knew, and everybody pretty much just knew where they were, and everybody just stayed in their place, and that was just the way it was. I remember when we used to travel to Louisiana by car, you had to make sure that you brought your own toilet paper. My mother used to bring what they have called slop jar and bottles. And that was for the guys and the women, our girls. And if you had to go to do your business, they'll just pull the car off the side of the road, and you just had to go. And sometimes they wouldn't even pull the car on the side of the road. You had to go while the car was moving. So everything was just shaking while you was trying to sit on this little pot that, was shaking all about. Because there was no restrooms that we could use, y'all. There was no restrooms for colored people. Not when you getting gas. And if you had any sense, you'll have a full tank before you leave Galveston. And that full tank would take you all the way to Opelousas, which is where our family lived. And then after you get to Opelousas, when we first started going, they didn't have any running water inside of the house. But it was developing, y'all, so they used to have little pumps outside, and you used to pump the water, up and down pump, and you'll get water in front of the house. And then you bring it inside to wash your hands, wash your clothes, stuff like that. And they had an outdoor toilet, or you could call it an outhouse, because there's no running water. And then I remember going there like some years later, and they had graduated to water that you just walk down the road and turn on a faucet. No more pumping, you just turn on a faucet. But that water pipe was for everybody in the neighborhood, everybody. So they'll come and line up and get their water and then go back home, you know, because it's a developing country, y'all. And even though we had running water in Texas and we had toilets and all in Texas, we felt that we was big timers, you know. But when we went to visit our relatives in Louisiana, they didn't have it. I remember that it was a tale of two cities, even for that. Like a caste system amongst us colored folks, even in Louisiana. Whereas when I was at my mother's side of the family's house, they had the outhouse and all of that. Well, who I thought was my father at the time, when I went to his mother's house when I was 12, I was impressed that they had a screened-in porch and they had running water and they had an indoor toilet. But that was like in the elite kind of part of town as compared to where my mama's people stayed. And I'm telling you, it's like tale of two cities. Still had the colored grocery stores, and I was impressed with that because you could go in there and actually pick what you wanted, and the people were very, very nice to you. So you could buy stuff and pay for it yourself. And then on the other side of town, they had people that did not look like you that owned the stores, and you couldn't pick anything. You had to just tell them what you want, and then they gave it to you, and you had to put the money on the counter because they wasn't going to touch your hands. So that's developing, y'all. So over the time, now you can go to Louisiana also, and they have running water and they have indoor toilets and all. But can you imagine? It was developing. And if you would go there now, you would think that if you go somewhere else that's a developing country now, that somehow the United States magically skipped developing. But it did not, y'all. It happened here too. So comparing apples to apples, I understand when I travel somewhere that is still developing. And I know from the history books that some places have on purpose been underdeveloped, you know. So anyway, I even remember about the littering thing. They had a littering campaign called Don't Mess with Texas, because people used to just throw stuff out the windows here too in the United States. Yeah, they did, y'all. This country was also developing, and people would go down the highways and they'll throw stuff out the window. And so they used to actually use prisoners, either from the jails or the prisons, you know, and have them on side of the road cleaning up, picking up all kinds of paper, picking up all kind of bottles, even before they even had plastic bottles. So it was a real problem, y'all, with people not understanding about proper sanitation. So it took a campaign, the anti-littering campaign, before people actually understood about having a clean environment and picking up behind themselves, and understanding that if you didn't do it at first, it was because you was going to get fined. If the police caught you, you would get fined for littering. And they had all these signs on the side of the road, how much a fine you'll pay if they caught you throwing something out your window, or even if you was just walking down the street and threw something on the ground and didn't pick it up. So it was a heavy-duty littering campaign with commercials and everything. And so eventually people quit littering as much as they used to. And now, you know, when you travel, just say from here to Louisiana, they have all of these public rest stops. And so you could actually stop and use a clean bathroom and be safe, because they have all of this security there and all, you know. It's just that some places that you travel, for one reason or another, maybe they don't have public funding or something, or they call themselves renovating the restrooms. So when you go through those areas, they don't have the restrooms open. So you're almost back to, you might need to have your own porta potty again. Because when you was on the public highways back in the day, they used to have gas stations all up and down the highway. And now, for the most part, the gas stations, you have to actually detour off the main road so you can go to a gas station. That's how they're designed now. But still, it's better than before, because you detour off the highway just a little bit. And while you're there, you can use the restroom. Most of the time, the restrooms are pretty clean, especially if it's a truck stop, you know, because they have public showers if you want to use that, which I wouldn't, but I'm just saying some people have to use it, you know, the long distance drivers. But they have public restrooms that you can use. It's just that when they're there, most people like to think that you buy something when you go into those kind of spaces. But they did make the rules that those type spaces, you should be able to go in and use the public toilet, even if you don't buy anything. You know, that you could just pull in there, park, use the restroom, and go if you want to, and not have to buy a sandwich or buy something to drink. It's just, since it's a convenience, most people feel obligated to buy something. And I know when we travel abroad, sometimes we go to public restrooms and they're not well kept. And I tell you guys, it's not just in one developing country. It's in a lot of developing countries. They have a long way to go, but it will happen. And I just can say, it can be an opportunity if somebody decides that that's their purpose, you know, that they want to teach about sanitation, and see if they can get a campaign started where people can see the importance of hand washing hygiene, even when it's not any crisis happening, you know. That you could just wash your hands with soap and water before you eat, because that's what you should do. And that you wash your hands when you go into the restroom and coming back from the restroom, because that's what you should do. Not because you think you're going to spread any major disease. Because I'm telling you, y'all, just the regular diseases that you can get from going to the restroom are so terrible. It's just that we never think about it, you know, until we get ill, because somebody who prepared the food didn't wash their hands with soap and water when they were fixing the food or serving the food. That's a worldwide problem. So all I can say is to lessen your culture shock when you travel. Learn the history of hygiene in the country where you come from. And then you can see how long it actually took when the campaigns first started until where it is today. It actually wasn't an overnight thing. They actually spent lots of money to have advertising campaigns. And then it actually took making people pay fines, and I don't know what else happened to people. Who knows, they might even go to jail for littering, if they didn't pay their fine. I don't know. But all I know, y'all, is that yes, I did grow up in a developing country, and that's what gave me less of a culture shock when I traveled anywhere. Because some places you pull up to them and they're just so pretty, and they have like a history of tourism, and you would not even think that you would have that problem. But for some reason, when it comes to the cleanliness for the bathrooms, it just happens. I don't know why. You'll be shocked and how some people just don't think of the bathroom as anything. That you may have a nice fancy restaurant, a nice fancy gas station, and then go into the restroom and get the shock of your life with how nasty it is. So I'm like my mama. She used to carry toilet paper with her wherever she go, and now I do that too. No matter where I go, I have toilet paper. I have those facial tissues that's in little small packs that you get from the little dollar stores. And I just put them in my purse when I'm going somewhere, just in case I go into the restroom and they don't have it. And I make sure I keep my little small hand sanitizer with me. And I try my best not to just eat any old where, because lots of times people don't have proper places to go and do their elimination, even at work. And then they limit the times that they can go. So if you don't know where the food been, it bothers my mind, So I try my best to eat in places that I at least feel have educated their people towards hygiene, and they have an opportunity to practice that hygiene in their place of work. So all I can say, y'all, is yes, I grew up in a developing country called the United States during the segregation time. I'm glad integration happened, because I like equal access to stuff like the restroom. I'm like obsessed about restrooms, y'all. If you got a clean restroom, that you good on my book, especially when I'm going into a public space. So anyway, guys, I hope the little going down memory lane has helped y'all, where y'all can understand some of the things that's happening in some of these places that's developing, and know that if you decide to relocate to any of those areas, that you'll have to, as they say, have patience with me, or if not, you'll just be frustrated. You'll have to decide for yourself if that's for you, if you're ready to have patience and just make sure that you bring your hand sanitizer, your toilet paper, and know that sometimes you'll wish you'd have just gone before you left your house. Make sure you have a list of places you can go, that the restrooms are okay. That you have a bathroom list. In fact, when I move back to the motherland, I'm going to have a list of places that I go to and the restrooms are clean. And then if it's not clean enough, I'll have a little talk with the owner and see if they can do better. And then if they do better, okay, they can get on the list. If they don't want to do better or don't see the importance of it, I'll make sure they're on the list of restrooms that's not clean. Gotta be something that can help people. Maybe somebody can develop an app with the approved restroom list. In fact, I think that would be a great service to the people that's relocating. If they had an app of hotels that you go to that actually have clean facilities, because sometimes even hotels, the restrooms are not clean on a lower level, even though the ones that's cleaned in your inside of your room. So I think that all is an opportunity. Like I say, if somebody will make an app of wherever they living, you know, all these tech people have an app of recommended spots that have clean food and other kind of food that people like, and clean restrooms, you know. But anyway, guys, I just thought I'd share a little bit of that story of growing up in a developing country and how it helped me to adjust when I'm traveling abroad. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what country. I've gone to lots of different countries, and not just in the motherland, where I was surprised at the restrooms. Yeah, I don't even want to name names because I don't want nobody thinking that I'm just picking on their part of the world. But yeah, I definitely been more than the motherland that I've had to deal with some restrooms that I would have rather not dealt with at all. But until next time, y'all, peace, peace, power to the people, and I'm out, y'all. Bye.